not be spinning around. But the wheels on some race cars are starting to spin as the field begins to roll for the pit lane of Bristol Motor Speedway out onto the world's fastest half mile. 4 pace laps before the green flag and tonight's 300-lapper gets underway. Kevin Harvick, 5-time Bristol winner in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, starting 13th tonight. Last time Kevin Harvick won here was with Ernie Cope as his crew chief after starting 13th. Ernie Cope is Kevin's crew chief tonight. He does line up 13th, and he's our ESPN in-race reporter. Let's catch him while it's in a semi-quiet moment.
Hey, Kevin, Dale Chair at the ESPN. See you trying to get back in line. You good to talk now?
Yeah, boy.
All right, man. Hey, thanks for talking with us tonight. Let's go straight to our mailbag question. I think it comes from a place that you're familiar with. Matthew in Bakersfield, California asks, how do you balance patience with aggressiveness over the next 300 laps?
No reason to be patient tonight. We're here to try to win a race and have fun. So you just go as hard as you can go and have some fun with it.
All right, well, we'll keep a camera especially for you and watching you to create some excitement there. Hey, your best guess as to what to expect from this racetrack now that some of that rubber's been washed off. I know all practice was up around the top.
Yeah, I still think that the top is definitely way faster. It's 3 or 4 tenths faster than the bottom. So you have to plan on racing up at the top. Track position is going to be key. You just have to play the strategy game and see what happens, but it should be fun.
All right, Kevin. Hey, thanks for talking with us tonight. We'll look forward to following your progress up towards the front and talking with you later on.
Thank you.
Kevin Harvick, our ESPN in-race reporter, starting 13th in this one. High-definition onboard views here at Bristol, riding with Ty Dillon, who carries our Chevy camera. Kevin Harvick's got the Hunt Brothers Pizza on board. Trevor Bayne has the AdvoCare on board. Regan Smith, the Nationwide Insurance camera. Elliott Sadler has the Napa on board. Check that. Chase Elliott has the Napa on board. Elliott Sadler. And they're even back-to-back on the list of cameras, too.
All the time.
Elliott Sadler has the Toyota on board. Hey, Kyle Larson's got the Goodyear on board, and Kyle Busch has the Nationwide Insurance camera.
You got that all straight now, Alan?
I'm telling you.
Got Chase Elliott, Elliott Sadler, Kyle Larson, Kyle Busch. My goodness.
I'm sure I'll mess that up again sometime tonight. Check out NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy for enhanced coverage tonight from here in Bristol. Those 10 high-definition onboard views and more with Chase and Elliott at NASCAR.com/RaceBuddy. How about imparting a little Napa know-how on you? Things to watch for tonight, what it's going to take to get it done.
Yeah, I think you're going to make your own groove. I think what that really means is the groove's going to be around the top. If you're going to find a way to pass cars, you're going to have to make your own groove to do it.
Okay, well, if everybody's going to be in your groove, then know how to use your bumper, because you're going to need that, as Elliott Sadler explained to us, that you're going to have to move some people out of the way here.
Well, you can do it that way, too, but also tire management, because we saw how critical track position is going to be. Probably going to have to run tires a long time tonight. Drivers are going to have to really manage that.
And while we get ready for the start, some more know-how from pit road. Here's Jamie.
Well, in the March race here at Bristol, it was Chase Elliott's first ever race in a Nationwide Series car here. He finished 9th. Well, 9th wasn't good enough for the rookie. He and his crew chief, Greg Ives, made a list of things that they could improve on for this race. Well, improve they did. They qualified 4th today. Watch for that 9 car to be a factor tonight. Doc Punch?
Jamie, Regan Smith really wants to win this race, but folks, he really wants to win this championship. In order to do that, tonight he's got to take care of his tires and his track position. Yeah, that may mean some very unusual strategy on their team's part. Last August, he was running 4th here, and on the final pit stop, they left a lug nut loose. He finished 21st. They can ill afford to have that kind of mistake happen tonight. It'll cost him not only a race, but quite possibly a championship. Vince?
Elliott Sadler is 3rd in the championship standings, but this 11 team hasn't had a top 5 finish in 3 months. They know they've got to be better if they're going to have a shot at winning this championship. But this is the perfect place for Sadler to kickstart the stretch run. He's won here twice in the Nationwide Series, once in the Sprint Cup Series. Sadler and his crew chief, Chris Gale, believe this could be the place they could get it all turned around and head toward a championship, Alan.
All right, Vince, thanks. You saw, as Vince was talking and reporting, the jet dryers being run down the pit lane now that the racing surface is dried to get the pit road as safe as possible for when the action begins here on the speedway. So we're still working a couple of extra laps of caution before the green flag. Ryan Blaney starting on the front row tonight, driving that very potent Penske 22.
Thinking my tank aren't working, it's just staying light blue, but should be all right. The easy number like 4,080. Okay. If it's not working, just use 4,000. We'll go 4,000.
Lights on the tack being what they normally might use to have an easy gauge on whether they're approaching or over their pit road speed.
Yeah, it'll go to red once you get over that, so it gets you kind of an alert. But he's just going to have to do it kind of the way that when this first started, you just went off that number at the tack. So they're erring to the caution side of it by where instead of trying to figure out 4,080 on there, it's on 4,000, and you won't get caught.
Yeah, because if you miss it the other way, we know what happens.
Yes, that makes for a long
Not
night.
good.
And from one young driver, Ryan Blaney, to another, driving the 20 car, Eric Jones.
Thank you guys for this weekend. I appreciate it. Been having fun, been learning, so keep it going here in the race and be there at the end.
18-year-old from Michigan. And get ready to go for his first ever time here at Bristol. I mean, first ever time here at Bristol.
But what I've seen out of this kid, I think he's got a bright future in the sport.
Yeah, he's pretty quick study by what I've seen, but he's getting ready to get taught a few lessons here that he's going to remember. So let's see how he's able to adapt, keep himself up inside that top 10, and then race towards the end of this race.
So the shower that we had that started just before they were supposed to go do pre-race ceremonies and load the drivers aboard changed the track from looking like it did during Cup qualifying earlier today to what that looks like now. Check out where the rubber and the amount of rubber is back into the corners earlier today during NASCAR Sprint Cup Series qualifying.
You know, there's a lot of rubber there and what we saw, but these drivers are looking at the grip factor, and the grip factor is not coming from the rubber being down there as much as what that ground surface is up there, and that's what they're after, and that's still going to be there for them.
So I'll be curious to see how much track conditions change and how that affects what. You heard everybody, if you were with us earlier, talking about how the group was going to be right up by that wall, and some speculating as to whether or not the rain eliminating some of that rubber might change that grip level just a little bit. Will it be enough to make a difference? Good question. Still working on drying the pit lane? We'll take a break. We'll come back for the start of tonight's NASCAR Nationwide Series action here in Bristol, Tennessee. A NASCAR twin bill here at Bristol Motor Speedway, the world's fastest half mile. This high bank short track providing some great action for you tonight, and then again tomorrow night too, when the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series takes the stage for the Irwin Tools Night Race. Our telecast presented by AutoZone is over on ABC starting at 7 Eastern Time. Qualifying earlier tonight, Kevin Harvick won the pole, barely over Jeff Gordon. Yet another track record. Carl Edwards, the March winner here, starting in third position, and it should be a very action-packed race. Tomorrow night, ABC at 7 Eastern Time. Picked up the pace on the pace car just a little bit, just to get everything up to proper temperature here for these drivers to get ready to go. A lot of drivers in this field who don't have a lot of time in the NASCAR Nationwide Series behind the wheel, but of course the short tracks where you go to get some of that experience before they give you permission to move up to the mile tracks and then the 1.5 miles and so on.
Yeah, and that's a great idea, and certainly the way to do it, but there's short tracks and then there's Bristol.
Yeah.
So getting your education here is certainly difficult, but it is exciting to be here, and all of those drivers either making their first or second start here at Bristol are in for a fun evening.
Heard about Ryan Blaney on the radio a little bit earlier. Doc, you got more on that?
Yeah, they're talking about the fact that the tachometer and the lights are not sequencing, and they use those lights to be able to know when they're coming down pit road, not the speed. And because the pit road speed here is 30 miles an hour, it is woefully slow and easy to get a pit road speeding penalty, especially under yellow. Now, the lights are not working apparently, but the tachometer has come back, and they're hoping it is right. They say, well, it might have gotten wet. They're not sure if the numbers are correct. Just going to tell him to be very, very careful and err on the side of being conservative, using the tach only to get on and off pit road.
Yeah, and that's certainly a concern. You don't want to get caught speeding, as we were talking about. But the other thing that's hard here, that would most other tracks where you have just one pit road that you come down, you can sit and you can focus on that tachometer and be fine. Here, under caution, you have to enter over off of turn 2 and come around. And as you go through turns 3 and 4 going that slow and try to focus on where you're going, the cars around you, and look at your tack 2. There's a lot going on for that young man inside the car, but I'm sure that he'll handle it well. Just hope that it is, that it's showing the right reading there for him.
That's a lot going on when you're on pit road. And then when you're trying to leave pit road, there can be a lot going on too.
Chris, I know it takes a lot of heads up thinking. If you can tell the difference between starting inside or outside when we're leaving pit road, if we're going to come off pit road in an even position or odd position, you know, with the cars on pit road and the cars on the racetrack, and it's tight, let me know. Obviously, anytime we can come out even is better.
Yeah, everybody is going to be fighting for that top groove, and the only way you get that on a restart is in that even position. Unless you're the leader, then you can choose the outside.
Yeah, very few times as a driver that you ever even consider giving up a spot, but this is certainly one of those situations to where if you could start in that outside lane, then you're willing to slow down just a second before you get to the exit of pit road and give up a spot so that you could start in that lane.
But everybody can't start up there. There's half of them are going to have to start on the bottom. That's why they're going to have to make their own groove. On these restarts, they're going to have to find a place or find a way to squeeze in line up on the high side.
Just make sure you don't outthink yourself.
Yes, yeah, exactly right.
And there'll be some give and take here early in the race, especially. Maybe not so much later.
Yes. Yeah, we saw him speed up a while ago, and I think part of it because I saw the drivers weaving a lot, and you could see the rubber come up. All the rubber wasn't washed off of there, and as they ride around slow here, it picks that rubber up. Even though the tires haven't heated up that much, there's enough there. You can see the rubber coming off of that, and so the drivers, I think, probably were as much influence there in trying to speed that up just for a few minutes.
Yeah, I saw that. As they picked up speed, you can see some of the rubber they were picking up off the racetrack flying back off the tires. So hopefully they got them cleaned off and ready for a good start.
And obviously had to run the jet dryers back down the front stretch pit road here again to try and finish drying it up to make it safe, or as safe as possible for the first set of pit stops. Mentioned how here at Bristol coming down pit road there's a lot going on, and of course we have the two different sets of pit road rules, one for pitting under green and one for pitting under the caution flag.
Yeah, you see under green, you don't have to run that full length of both pit roads and around turns 3 and 4. You can come in on your prospective pit road and come back out on the same side. Now under caution, it's different. Everybody runs the full length of both pit roads as well as the bottom of the racetrack through 3 and 4. And the reason they do that is to make it seem like one pit road, not two, because when they had two pit roads here, it really caused a lot of confusion and it gave an advantage to the people on the front side.
Only track remaining with the dual pit roads. Used to be a few of them. Now Martinsville modified theirs, Darlington modified theirs, and so on. This obviously goes back a number of years, those modifications, and so the only place left with the dual pit roads, and that's the long time rule that NASCAR's employed now to try and even it out.
And it works good. I mean, you think that it's, kind of confusing, but it really does work pretty good.
Yeah, it is a challenge, and as these drivers, they've got a lot going on in their mind. If they get to that point of having to make a green flag pit stop, or if they have a problem, they'll probably need to be reminded by their crew chief or by their spotter, hey, you can come down the pit road that we're on, that we're using. You don't have to go in off of turn 2 if you're pitting on the front stretch there.
Ty Dillon lined up in 7th position for the start of this race.
The track look key, bud. Looks like you don't have much rubber. Dry.
Yeah, that's kind of what we see. Actually, the pit road looks pretty good, too. They're still running their jet dryers down the front side, but everything looks pretty well ready to go.
We're getting there. There's a lot of rain.
Yeah, in a short time. Yeah, we had a big, hard shower come through here. It was intense for at least a few minutes.
And I really think that this rubber getting washed off, in my mind, is going to be even more of a disadvantage down on the bottom side for these guys a little bit. So we'll see how this plays out.
Starter showing the drivers a signal there as they cross the start-finish line of 3 fingers. So indicating that we should be ready for a start in 3 more pace laps. Just like the waiting game. Now you're not even waiting for them to dry the track. Now you're in the car on the track.
Yeah,
ready to go.
Yeah, this is tough. You can see it.
Keelan's ready to go.
Yeah, he's waiting for Dad to get going there. He's excited about this, but knows there's a good chance he might go to victory lane here tonight. There's Dad in the car ready to go. But it is tough. You know, you're sitting there, you got yourself ready thinking that you're going out there going to make 4 pace laps and get ready to go, and now you've had to ride around. So it's tough. You know, drivers kind of get themselves, they have a clock kind of inside you that gets that, gets you ready to go and tells you when you need to be there. But they'll handle it. It's just, you're ready to go. You're sitting in there and want to get this started.
Like competitors in other sports, be it baseball,